Studies show it takes 30 days to form a new habit, so don't expect results until then. And that's if you actually delete these 10 creator habits keeping you broke as a three-legged chair. So listen carefully. Number 1, creating without a clear offer and posting endlessly, but have nothing to sell or no call to action. I genuinely believe that there are many people on the internet who think if you have a small audience size of, say, less than 100 subscribers, then you should not be selling anything in your videos or descriptions. And they think you can magically make money without offering anything. And this is totally false in my opinion. For example, a corner store doesn't say, I'm going to wait until I have 1,000 customers before I start selling products in my shop. Number 2, chasing views instead of building a business, mistaking attention for income. Views don't equal value if there is no conversion strategy. So there's 2 takes on this that I'm going to use. 1 is virality, 2 is general attention. So with virality, it can help you get huge exposure very quickly. But if you don't have things in place before you experience virality, then all of that attention will just be wasted. I, for example, had over 10 million views on TikTok last year on a faceless channel, and I managed to monetize the channel, make money from the videos, and sell some digital products, right? And this all was generated organically via the platform, no ads, nothing like that. However, I didn't fully capitalize on the back end because I wanted to just continue to provide valuable videos for as long as I could without offering anything. I knew I was getting viral videos consistently and I just didn't want to mess that up with offering something, right? And again, for clarity, this channel was a faceless experiment, so I wasn't actually dependent on the financial outcome of it, but it did turn out pretty well. However, I noticed that the more videos I did, the more engagement I had with each one. So I just went with that. And the trade-off was upfront cash for deeper engaged community. And now I can even take months off, post something and still get thousands of views, which is great and is an asset that I can use and monetize today. Number 3, not owning your audience and relying 100% on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube with no email list or SMS list. So I can speak to this creator habit from a software developer perspective. So in my world, data is everything. You know, how I process data, how I utilize data, strategize with data, it all matters in the world of developing software. So as I own my own applications, I own my audience. So I don't need to rely on social media platforms as much. And this is a poor habit many creators make for too long of a period of time because they're afraid to ask their audience to go elsewhere, especially if they're engaged on 1 or 2 particular platforms that they use. Now, this is a tricky one because so many large creators will say, post on every channel. And most creators will also say, I don't have the time to do that. Now, most large creators who are far removed from solo creatorship or even solo entrepreneurship will say that you have to figure it out. So there are mixed opinions when it comes to this subject. And from my perspective, I'd say that you have to just do what works for you in your circumstance, as you know, it isn't a one size fits all. Your situation could be different to mine and vice versa. Again, the demographics you're trying to target will definitely determine your platform distribution channels and which one you choose. And yes, of course, it's beneficial to post everywhere, but that's a full-time creation and editing job, which many creators physically do not have the time for. But you still need to own your own audience. And I think newsletters are a bit played out, but subject to taste and interest, of course. I personally would go with an SMS list, which is useful for many purposes like product launches, exclusive webinars, video drops, etc. And I've found from testing that I have much richer conversations through SMS, as it's the most human connection format that we have today that, you know, still feels a little bit personal. So if we have each other's number, then that's a special kind of connection. The 4th habit is saying yes to every brand deal, undervaluing themselves and taking $100 for access to a 10,000 person audience, right? And now as you progress in the world of brand deals and paid partnerships, you will find many deals come your way, but saying yes to all of them is just a bad habit. And if I use my TikTok example again, you know, I can recall being offered literally hundreds of deals for all manner of products, but I said no to all of them. I opted for making my own product. The reason I did that is brand fit. You might need or want the money, but you have to figure out these brand partnerships fit and if it fits your brand and messaging audience overall. So taking the check just because someone offers it isn't always the best strategy for long-term growth. And again, some creators are different. You might just want the quick money. But if you're wanting to play the long game and have some creator longevity, then you have to be selective on what deals and partnerships you actually choose. Some might help or even hurt your brand, and it is your responsibility to manage that risk. Number 5, not building systems and always scrambling. No content calendar, no automation. Burnout equals inevitable. Probably one of the most destructive habits keeping creators broke. So let me just say this, right? The creators with systems and processes for everything are winning and will continue to win big. For those creators who have no systems, you will continue to suffer burnout, frustration, and all manner of negative things, including not making as much money as you would like because you don't have systems in place. Now, you don't necessarily need to have content scheduled to drop every single hour of the day, but at least having the bare minimum, like I am filming, writing, editing, and designing on this day every week. Now, if you don't have any automation in place, then you're going to lose and burn out. That's just how it's going to happen. Now, I leverage technology as much as I humanly possibly can because I know it saves me so much time in the long run. And I'm human after all, so I can't remember everything. So I lean on my software to do a lot of the heavy lifting, processing, managing, etc. So I don't have to, and I can focus purely on the most creative and outcome producing activities. So if you don't want to be a broke creator, then learn how to build systems, and I'll link a video to do that at the end of this video. Number 6, copying instead of positioning, repeating what works for others instead of owning a unique voice or POV. So copying thumbnails, copying video styles, video delivery only gets you so far, right? But more importantly, you're missing out on your secret and special sauce. Things that work for others might not necessarily work for you. Now, I adopted the Mr. Beast mentality when I say I'm not expecting any views or mass following until I've done 100 long-form videos on my channel. Then I will relax my expectations just slightly after I've assessed my progress. And in that time, I'm looking at is purely development and testing. I can figure out what works well with me and for me as a creator. I can take inspiration from others, but copying isn't really going to do me well in the long term. Shaping your own perspective on whatever niche you are in is going to hold you in high regard long term, because people can then buy into you, not a replica. And your unique voice, your unique perspective can position you well, especially when building brands. Number 7, avoiding boring business stuff. No pricing strategy, no contracts, no P&L, no pitch deck, just vibes. Now, if you don't want to make money as a creator, then avoid all the things I just mentioned, right? However, if you do want to make money as a creator, then you're going to have to find a way to incorporate these tasks into your routine or just pay someone to do them for you. It's boring, I know, and for that reason, and that reason alone, is because it's necessary to do in your business, right? There's no other way around it than outsourcing. And outsourcing business admin is going to cost you, whether that is freelance services, whether that's from someone, full-time or part-time as a staff member. There will be a cost either way. And I've found that over the years of learning these administrative duties, it's actually very lucrative long run, because it'll be useful to you. You'll know exactly what goes on in that side of your business. So much so, when you bring someone on board, you'll know what to look for and ensure it's done properly and to the standard that you desire for your business. Number 8, undercharging for skill-based work, editing, coaching, consulting, and giving away high-value work for low-value rates. This is probably one of the sneakiest ways to keep you broke as a creator. And I believe it's down to psychological reasons, to be honest, right? Mainly due to the fact that we have needs as creators at certain periods of our journey, and especially in the beginning. We sacrifice our value exchange for short-term capital. So when you charge so little, you actually undervalue your offer, and you also attract the wrong type of clients. Now, don't get me wrong, everyone has to start somewhere. However, there is a difference between a client who understands the value of someone's offer and clients who don't understand value, full stop. And the money that they're giving you really needs to get an immediate ROI on the money. Hence why solving problems for affluent business owners is definitely recommended advice when starting out, because they actually have the capacity to pay you what you're worth. Also, another point, people will pay you what you believe your worth is. So if you say my service is $100 for 4 hours of X, Y, or Z, over $5,000 for this package, people will believe what you tell them. It's just that it's up to them to decide if they think the value for the offer you made makes sense to them. So never give away high value work for cheap. That's a prescription to stay broke as a joke as a creator. Number 9, fear of selling. Calling it sharing or value, but never asking for the sale. Soft selling to obscurity. Look, I got into sales at 14 years old, telesales, and there's nothing more rewarding than selling a product or service to a client who needs and wants what you have to offer, especially when you make a commission on top for the sale. And someone who I respect highly, Myron Golden, he says, you don't want sales breath or commission breath. But if you believe what you offer is of value, then you can still make your offers in the description and ask your audience, hey, if you need help with X, Y, or Z, then click the link in the description. Just that one call to action, could trigger a tsunami of buyers without being overly salesy. But asking for this sale all depends on the product that you have to offer and how you position the offer. But please don't fall into this trap of just creating videos and never asking for anything in return. There's nothing wrong with selling to those who need or want what you have. Sales is what drives the economy globally. We live in a world of buyers and sellers. That's the facts. And of course, you have to build up trust with your viewers, but always ask for the sale when the time is right. And the 10th and final habit on this list is treating creativity like a hobby, not a business. No schedule, no budget, no KPIs, no CEO mindset. Now, this one is definitely in the top 3 of importance, I would say, of habits to delete from your mental. And the reason I say that is because today you can actually build a lifestyle based on creative endeavors, mixed with business offers, products, and services. But you have to actually treat your creativity like a business, not some side thing or some side hobby. And the creator economy is big business and is projected to become $500 billion sector in the next 2 years. So if you're still thinking it's some quirky side thing or something like that, then you're mistakenly wrong. I recall getting my record deal age 20 in the music business in Los Angeles, Hollywood, and that's when everything shifted from just music to music business. I had to learn contracts, terms, all sorts of things that I had little experience of at the time. But those experiences and business interactions provided the foundations to me as a creator entrepreneur. And as soon as money is involved and someone says, hey, I would like to pay for your creativity, right? You're now in business. It can no longer be a hobby or a side thing, as you've exchanged cash for product or services or even intellectual property. So you have to get into the mindset of ownership and leadership if you want to make something out of your creative skills. So delete these poor people creator habits, get on the train to freedom and wealth in the creator economy. It's not going to be easy, but just start now and set yourself up correctly for the future. And if you struggle on charging clients, then just watch this video where I break down the likely reasons when you got some time.